what the Minister is taking it. We put down the question to the Minister for Agriculture. Minister for Fleming, I have huge respect for you and your own portfolio, etc., but I had hoped we'd have some representative here from Agriculture. But look, like Deputy McNamara, I'll hold my powder dry, because maybe we'll get good news, and that's what we're here for. Look, to give you a small bit of context, Minister, this landslide happened at Shass Mountain in Drumkeeran in June 2020. That's well over 20 months ago. Over 20 farmers and about 8 foresters were adversely affected because of the damage from the landslide. Now, Minister Malcolm Noonan set up an interagency group that did really good work, and all of that is in hand. However, the farmers in the area have seen no progress on agricultural issues. Force majeure has been used for 2 years so that those farmers could access their payments. But you and I know that after 2 years you can't use force majeure anymore, and those farmers need certainty on their payments. Now, last November, Minister McConalogue came to Drumkeeran. He met the farmers, the stakeholders, he engaged with all of us, and he promised that he would seek funding from Minister McGrath to put a compensation package in place. Yet, Minister, despite a lot of correspondence, and certainly I put down a parliamentary question, all I got was a holding answer. You know, nothing definite, nothing happening at the moment. Now, the farmers have been very patient, and I think actually the public reps have as well, because if you look at similar incidences that have happened in other parts of the country, they were done, dusted, dealt with, compensation packages put in place within a 12-month period. We are over 20 months now. Perhaps we've been too patient, but I am hoping for good news. I am hoping to hear a definite date, at the very least, by which the Minister will deliver on the compensation package that he promised he would negotiate when he was in Drumkeeran last November.
Minister McConalogue has asked me to answer to this topical issues here on his behalf, because, as people will know, he wasn't available here just in the chamber a short while ago, even for the votes either. So I do want to thank Deputy Harkin and Deputy Fitzmaurice for raising this issue, which is a very difficult issue for the people involved. The landslide occurred in Shass Mountain, close to the village of Drumkeeran, County Leitrim, on the 28th of June 2020, following heavy rain on that day and the preceding days. An area of upland blanket bog, including an area of adjacent forestry plantation, moved downhill as a result of the liquefied peat, vegetation and trees continuing from its source to follow the course of the tributary of the Divadger River downhill to Lough Allen. Some of the landslide material was held up at an area known as Dawn of Hope Bridge, close to the origin of the landslide. However, a quantity of material overflowed the bridge and made its way approximately 7 kilometres downstream to eventually spread out and settle on near areas of land and forestry in a number of townlands. Sporadic deposits of peat and other debris subsequently occurred, in the heaviest deposits occurring in 3 townland areas, namely Corcormick, Derrendangan and Corquill Lower. Following the landslide, officials from the department mapped the areas affected by the deposit of peat and debris from the landslide using a combination of satellite imagery for the period in question, together with detailed GPS data collected from surveys conducted on the ground in July and August 2020. The total land area of agricultural land affected by the overspill has been calculated at 20.09 hectares. This land was declared by 18 basic payment scheme applicants in 2020. The total area of forestry within the damaged area is approximately 12 hectares. This comprises of land held in 7 privately owned forestry contracts. In the aftermath of the landslide in 2020, the Minister moved to ensure that the force majeure would apply to ensure all farm scheme payments were not impacted by this event. Officials at the department contact each of the applicants affected by the landslide to ensure them that payments would not be impacted. Force majeure measures were again applied in 2021 and will ensure he will ensure that it will apply again in 2022 in respect of farm payments. I want to say that again. Force majeure was applied again in 2021. The Minister will ensure that it will apply again in 2022 in respect of farm payments. In response to the event, the multi-agency group was established under the chairmanship of the Minister for Heritage and the Department of Housing, Local Government. Multi-agency group, inter alia, Leitrim County Council, local representatives, Oireachtas members, farm bodies, National Parks and Wildlife, Inland Fisheries, Department of Transport, Department of Agriculture and Marine, and some universities. Leitrim County Council engaged specialist consultants, the RPS group, to undertake a comprehensive examination of the causes of the landslide and the impact it had on the natural and built environment, ecology, water quality and farming community. A report was prepared by the RPGS group for the Department of Culture, estimated total deposits of 160,000 cubic metres, which is present at varying depths of up to 2 metres on the overspill areas. Accordingly, many of these areas remain untrafficable to both animals and machinery and are both unsuitable and unsafe for agriculture or farming use at present. I also want to say the Minister visited the site on the 19th of November last, where he viewed at first hand the damage to farm and forestry, and he also met with many of the landowners impacted. With regard to the compensation of landowners, the Department does not have a contingency fund. Any ex gratia payment will have to be sanctioned by the Minister for Public Expenditure and Reform. Discussions are continuing still at this point between Minister McConalogue and the Department of Public Expenditure and Reform, and the Department will contact the affected landowners as soon as there are any further developments.
Look, Minister, I appreciate you came in here and you read out what's in front of you. My sheer annoyance and anger I will not direct at you, but this is completely unacceptable. I mean, if we look at what happened when other landslides occurred in the Minister's own constituency in Inishowen, the whole thing was processed and dealt with in just over 5 months. If we look at what happened at Polytomish and Mayo, it took less than a year for compensation to go to farmers. And what I'm wondering is it because the farmers in Leitrim haven't marched and they haven't blocked roads, and that they waited and that they are waiting on the Minister to deliver on his promise? It is over 20 months. Yes, we know force majeure last year and the year before, and people are pleased about that. But you and I know it's highly unlikely that will happen this year. They've waited too long, Minister. I really did expect that we'd get something more tonight than the engagement is continuing and my department will contact, etc. That's what we've been getting since the Minister visited 5 months ago, and we were listening to that beforehand. It really isn't good enough.
Thank you. And the point I was making was any ex gratia payment will require the sanction of the Minister of Public Expenditure and Reform. Accordingly, his department has examined the options with regard to compensation and has engaged with the Department of Public Expenditure regarding the required sanction for compensation. The proposed compensation package will target those landowners, both farmers and people with forestry contracts affected by the landslide. It is intention to avoid any overlap in the application process for compensation scheme and the application of the BPS and the ANC and other CAP schemes for this one. So, in other words, they will have to be separated out, so there's no overlap between the two.
Do they apply for ANC and BPS now?
And the reason they're being dealt with separately is so there's no confusion by the applicants. And finally, I do want to say the Minister, having visited the area, is fully aware of the stress that this is causing. I know it has taken quite some time, but the RPS report that we did mention, which was very factual, over 60 pages, was completed just over 12 months ago, published in February of last year, and I do accept the discussions have been extensive in the meantime, and I do not have a date at this point, or I don't think the Department has an exact date of when the engagement with the Department of Public Expenditure will and the main point I'm just making on that is there's an issue of compensation and there's an issue of payments under the existing scheme. Both of them will have to be not done in tandem, one separately, so there's no confusion, no overlap. And what I will say to the Deputy is I will ask the Department to contact the two deputies on the point you're raising at this moment, and I'll raise that. I'll contact the Department personally tomorrow morning so they can write to both of you clarifying this last statement.